Hey guys, welcome to NYC 2023 here with the crew. We got Dwight, Ryan, and Dan. Say hi, guys.
What up, what up?
Welcome to NYC 2023. What are you excited, first of all, to see at NYC 2023?
Oh, I haven't even got to the point to think about that. I want to go check out the NECA booth. I always like to see them, and if the Four Horsemen are here, I'm going to want to check out their stuff because we all love our mutual admiration club of wandering around and finding all of our friends from all the other different companies that make amazing stuff like us. So it's always great to see them in person and see what awesome stuff they got cooking up.
You had a date with Giant Man last night.
I did. I took. I was really, much to your guys' disappointment in me, I decided to take the prototype to Times Square to take some pictures, just because I figured, what could possibly go wrong?
And look, he's still here.
It's still here, so it survived.
Right.
I didn't break a single thing last night, not one.
It's very romantic, like the whole excursion through Broadway.
It was. We got some nice mood lighting, and just kind of hanging out.
We wanted you to have some quality time together, you know what I mean?
There's nothing quite like hanging out with a 24-inch action figure on the trash receptacles in Times Square, at 9 o'clock at night.
It's the magic of New York,
The ambiance of the glow and the people swearing at you in multiple languages. It's magical.
Welcome to New York. That's how it always is. So yeah, he spoke about Giant Man. Can you tell us a little bit about the initial concept, going from the imagination to having him here today? That whole process.
So I think people loved the Sentinel and the Galactus, which were these very large, jumbo-sized, kind of fully articulated Marvel Legends figures. And so when it came time to do the next one, we thought it would be a good time to revisit Giant Man, who was last a Toy Biz Build-A-Figure, I think some 16, 17 years ago. And it tied in with what Marvel had going on this year with the Avengers 60th, which we had a separate Legends program with things like, first appearance Iron Man, Model 1, Hawkeye on a Sky Cycle, stuff like that. So it was a nice marketing tie-in. And I think he came out great, and hopefully we can deliver him to all the Avengers fans out there.
Yeah, it's great to do a figure like this was the fun thing about this one was it was a clean design. Everything we've done to this point has been like a lot of crazy space armor or tech with the Sentinel and Galactus, but this is just such a base, clean look. It was really fun to look at it and how do I really realize this to make something that's 24 inches tall look like it's real? Because at the 6-inch scale, there's some cheats and some corners you can cut to try to figure out how things work together. But at this size, you got to put attention to everything, or it really, really glaringly shows. Yeah. So we added a lot of textures and zippers and patterns to the entire figure, so that it really looked like if this suit was a real thing, it all looks like it belongs from a real world.
What kind of paint applications will it have?
The paint application, because of as we've transitioned most of our figures, there's a lot of mold breaks now. Yeah. So everything is broken out into the separate pieces. So almost all of the big base chunks will be molded in their own color, which is great. You don't have to worry about as much chance of paint rubbing.
Yeah.
But then we went back in and looked at the red in particular, and we added a lot of deeper kind of shadowing to his musculature and all of the red accents on his arms, legs, chest, back, and even some on his head. So that's where all the deco goes on the figure itself, as well as the belt had a lot of extra kind of oversprays to give that metal-ish looking to the blues and the silvers. And then we had a lot of fun with the face plates themselves. Those are all going to be done with our new photo reel process that we've been doing. These will be larger than we've ever done before, but we actually had this face samples shipped to us unpainted, and we actually had our Marvel
you got it.
model artisans dive in. It took me a while.
It's early. It's
early.
early.
So Tony, one of our great friends, and he did a lot of Marvel Legends over all the years, stepped up and came out of retirement for us. He put his G.I. Joe paintbrushes down for a little bit and came back to Marvel to do the faces for us to really give them that extra level of realism that we love so much.
We needed that masterful touch.
Yes.
It's important. It's all in the details, right? So
exactly.
That's what's most important. We have a few days left. Where it's sitting at right now in terms of backers and the response you've received, both praise and criticism, your response to that would be what?
What do you got?
I think we are very observant of all the comments about the project. I think we are very passionate and proud of what we are offering right now, and we want to really thank the people who have already backed it. And if you're on the fence, we think that this is a really cool project. We definitely hear a lot of complaints, if we're being honest, right? And if it's not for you, honestly, then it's not for them. You know, nothing about the HasLab project is like we're trying to force this on you, right? But we do think that this is a pretty awesome HasLab project and at a good quality offering, we believe. So yeah, anything else?
I think we do want to say that I think a lot of the comments have been, oh, it would have made so much sense to put these certain 6-inch normal size characters with the offering, and I think we agree, but we were very thoughtful in terms of not adding additional 6-inch figures to the offering or the tier unlocks.
Yeah.
That allowed us to keep the price lower. Those other kinds of figures, we can and probably will, honestly, make them in the future. Giant Man is also coming out in the future, and if it's the same amount of spend, but you're just kind of breaking up the transactions, like I think that's the piece that some people are kind of forgetting, because yeah, more figures with anything, you know, kind of raises the price.
Yeah.
So if the real comments are you should just throw in more for free, essentially, well, we're just not able to do that from a business standpoint.
Yeah.
But if it's like, oh, we also want to buy additional figures, it's like, yeah, don't worry, we'll get to it. This is about Giant Man and maybe a couple alternate heads and
Yeah.
swappable pieces.
Yeah.
Those other 6-inch Avengers characters, you know, be patient. They're coming,
Yeah.
and they're not tied to a campaign, so we have greater flexibility with when and how they come out.
Yeah.
So everything in due time, I think.
Yeah, I mean, the item itself we really do love. And I feel like this campaign, for the most part, has been a very positive campaign. Most of the challenges are the people who's like, well, I want more, I want something extra. And that's all fair that people might want that stuff. But what we actually offered here for $200, we think is really, really at a sweet spot for it. It's like, I mean, if you think about the Sentinel, which was 3 years ago, was $350. Now you had 2 figures, so you take those figures out, you're like at a $300 item.
Yeah.
with some lights. This is $100 less than that, and it's only 2 inches smaller. And it's got just as much attention to detail, and I think probably even more articulation than the Sentinel has, with some new technologies with the eyes and the faces and all those little improvements that we've done. So,
Yeah.
you know, we're very proud of this offering, and you know, the consensus of people wanting more stuff. Yeah, no, we get that. You know, it's like if I could have given you more, we would have.
Right.
But that's not how business works. So this is kind of where we landed on the item, and as you know, as the team goes, we're very proud of this item, and we think it's really fun.
I think we're proud of it because, like, if you remember last year's like HasLab, we learned from that too, right? So we didn't want to put 6-inch figures on a paywall, which was one of the criticisms we got.
Right.
We made the price point very fair and reasonable, based on what we saw from last year as well. So we're constantly trying to learn, and so we're very proud of what we think is a quality offering for a HasLab figure.
Yeah.
But again, nothing is being like forced on anybody,
Right.
and we're very grateful for everybody that has already backed the project as well.
Right. I guess people's trying to theorize what it could be is like paywall stuff sometimes maybe has a negative connotation, like, oh, we have to pay more to get the basic thing we want, and then we also want those accessories. So I think maybe that's where part of the criticism lies. I mean, that's just kind of a guess of mine. That's not me personally. I think he's great. For all intents and purposes, I've already pre-ordered it, so I hope that it comes to fruition.
Well, we wouldn't be having this interview if you hadn't, right?
That was the first agreement. That's written in stone, so that's ironclad right there. Speaking of new releases, X-Men 97 just came out. How's the response been to 97?
Yeah, no, the pre-orders have been pretty awesome so far, and a lot of the people who already have it on hand, they can really tell how much love the design team put on it, and I'm really excited just for the show in general. So the X-Men show is like probably one of the closest shows to my heart, and being able to bring out some of those really iconic characters back for newer collectors, I think that's been something that's really cool. And I love the card back too. The card back always kills me. So it's all good.
I think the whole execution is amazing, and the show I think is going to be next level. We got a pleasure to meet the showrunner at San Diego, and he showed us some clips that weren't yet reviewed by the public, and this thing looks so freaking sick. I'm like, I don't, I
You're like
can't
ears
wait
to
for
ear there, Dan, just thinking about what you saw.
It's good. It's really, really good.
And if you guys do like Wave 1, then, maybe you got something to look forward to for the Wave 2, somewhere in the near future.
There's still some missing, so.
Yeah.
Teasers. Yeah, I think that Wolverine figure in particular, I think is my favorite Marvel Legends Wolverine. I can pretty confidently say, and I think fans are liking the new Bishop and some other upgrades to the Magnetos of the like, and so we're excited for the fans to get them in hand. We're excited for the animation, and more in the future.
Absolutely.
Cool. I guess speaking of stuff that you make, like MCU figures, I had a question about that. I'm curious about like the process of making MCU related, media or like figures out of that. Like, you receive early concept art. Are you able to go on set? Are you able to check out, like, what is the degree of level you're able to kind of look into
It
that?
varies from project to project. Marvel, Disney is wonderful partners, and they often invite us down to the different sets, especially the ones down in Atlanta now. Since so much is shot down there, that's a nice, easy trip for everybody to get to. But in the past, they've sent us to, I've been to London for Guardians 1 on set there. I've been to Atlanta multiple times, and LA as well. So they've sent us all over the country and globe to see some of these sets in person, where you get to meet some of the actors and ask them questions on what the details in their costumes actually do.
Yeah.
Because sometimes when you just see a picture of a person wearing something, you're like, but what is that? And being able to actually talk with them and ask them, what does that do? Like, we got to meet Chris Pratt for Guardians 1, and he had those buttons on his thighs. And we're like, what does that do? And he's like, oh, well, when I push this button, the boot thrusters pop out, and I'm like, oh, okay, that makes sense. Now I can understand what I'm actually working off. But with every project, they always provide us with concept art at the beginning.
Yeah.
Then we usually go back to them and say, okay, thank you for sharing what you can now.
Yeah.
Now getting an idea for what the show is going to be about.
Yeah.
Then I send a giant dissertation of asset wants and needs and desires. And, it's like a scroll that just goes forever. It's like, I want.
Yeah.
And Marvel goes back and looks at that list and says, this is what I can provide to you now. This is what we'll be aware of, and we'll get it to you later.
Right.
And they send us, ideally, we'll get pictures of an actor or actress in costume, full turns, and if we're lucky, we get the 3D scan data, which we can do to translate their actual likenesses into plastic form.
Yeah.
And there's lots of steps between there, but that's kind of some of the base pieces that they'll provide us to when available to us, and we can use that to make some of the in our opinion, some of the best model-on action figures
Like
we've
Moon
ever
Knight.
done. Like movie, yeah.
Exactly. Shameless plug. That's great. I'm glad to get that information. Well, I guess my other questions would be, I had a list here, I kind of blanked for a second. We have the New Way Home figures that just got announced. You showed them off. Those are available next year, correct? The Green Goblin and the Doc Ock.
So they should be all pre-orderable right now, but they will be in store next year.
Next year, okay.
Green Goblin might be, hopefully, if Santa's very nice, end of this year.
Okay, please Santa, hear us out. And then obviously there's some characters might be missing. If the wave does well, would that be an expectation to maybe get some other villains from that series?
Which series? I missed the first.
The MCU Spider-Man, or No Way Home.
Yeah, it's like really no secret, guys. It's not like a scientific thing. If like something does very, very, very well, it helps make the case to make other characters within that universe, right? So if you guys want more No Way Home, more Spider-Man movie characters, then the best way to really indicate to everybody else is to make sure that they sell well, to be honest with you, right?
Yeah.
So if you want to see more characters, and we're not going to tell anything right now.
No reveals, no teases.
But I would love to update Lizard and make Electro. I mean, why not? You know, it's like I would love to make both of those figures. So,
Yeah, 100%. Deluxe non-BAF figures, that possibility for some other characters like War Machine, you guys did a deluxe non-BAF. Is that something you guys are always considering? I'm kind of curious about that. There's a lot of screaming behind me. they're really excited about this interview. I think that's what it is. But yeah, deluxe non-BAF figures like War Machine. That was a great deluxe figure. Any more like that in the future that are planned?
Yeah, we are doing more deluxe figures in general, both MCU and comic, both updates and kind of, mostly new sculpts, right? And so I think everything is kind of on the table, and that's what's been great about working on Legends for a while, not as long as Dwight, but back in the days it was like you could only do Build-A-Figure waves, and that was it. That was all we did. And now it's like we can do retro card stuff, we can do multi-packs, we can do deluxes, right?
Yeah.
We can do HasLabs. That's what's really fun about how the line has grown. Role play as well, cap shields, Iron Man helmets.
How about a large-scale deluxe Amit?
I mean, yeah. I mean, why not?
Are you familiar with that?
Are you
show,
familiar?
Moon Knight on Disney Plus?
It was like an okay show, right? It was, it wasn't like the best show.
It was my favorite.
It was your
My
favorite?
for this interview.
This is recorded, so that'll be broadcast.
Some of the acting, I don't know,
Unbelievable. We'll cut that out. Okay, and just wrapping up, this year is almost coming to a close. What's one thing that's exceeded your expectations with Marvel Legends, or something you're very proud of, and what's one thing you feel like you guys can work on towards the next year?
I gotta think about this.
I gotta think about this. This is good. I mean, I think for what we're here for today, I'm really proud of the HasLab offering for this year. I think doing a giant scaled figure that allowed me to look at figures differently and try to find new evolutions to the toy world to make things new and fresh that we've never done before. Not everything that we do has to be this giant, breathtaking, oh my God, I can't believe they created this thing. But sometimes those small little details really make massive improvements, and things like his harness system and the lifelike kind of doll eyes that we have for Giant Man are a couple small things, but they really takes our action figures to that next level that we've never done before. So that's something I'm really, really proud of. I think, there's always improvements. Nothing we've ever done is perfect. Being able to come to these shows and hear from the fans the things that they are not happy with is the best way for me to get better at my job.
In a respectful way.
In a respectful way, yeah. I mean, and most people, when you're talking to them in person, it's usually pretty good.
Yeah.
But it's like hearing what, they didn't like or what didn't work so well for their collection is the best way for me to kind of take learnings to try to figure out, what can I do different? How can I look at my stuff different? So I can't think of anything that I'm like, I know there are. It's just that was a very good question. You caught me off guard. I can't think of any one thing that I'm not happy with this year, but I think coming to the shows and finding out what fans aren't, what didn't quite make them ecstatic is the best way for me to learn to try to make these things better for myself.
I get the feedback, receiving it in a respectful way, a constructive criticism, to be like, I know stuff with like the Power Man and the arms underneath was a big issue with people, and like some of the plastic quality of like gummy. Even though like I just got the Peter Parker from the 2-pack, I think that's a fantastic figure. The plastic quality is great. I know tooling is a big cost, thing to keep in mind of, that you're always looking to upgrade figures as you go along with the line. So I know that's obviously on your radar, those kind of things.
Yeah, I mean, there's, often, there's things that I would like to do from scratch more often than not. But, because believe it or not, making a figure from scratch is way easier than doing the partial figures when you're pulling things from here and there from different years to try to make something new. That is infinitely more difficult. So if I had the ability, and if we had like unlimited assets to make every figure new every time, I would do it, because it would make my life so much easier.
Right.
So, that's one of the things, though, that, you're always like, I wish I could have done that little extra something, but, we have a finite budget and we have to figure out how to spread that across a massive collector toy line. I mean, Marvel Legends is one of the largest fan toy lines going by a major company. If, not maybe the largest, it's like, we do a ton of figures, and the only way we can make that many figures is by figuring out creative ways of pulling from here, robbing from Peter to pay Paul, and all this type of stuff to figure out. So, those are the things that, sometimes I wish I could just do it all and make these things special, but in order to give you guys as much variety and depth as we do, those are some of the triggers we have to pull, and, that's how Legends works.
Cool. Anything about a takeaway from this year? Something you're really happy with? Something You feel like
Takeaway
better?
from this year, I really love the Magneto helmet. I'll be honest with you, and I love to show what's going to come next year for Premium Roleplay. Premium Roleplay next year is going to be pretty amazing, I think.
amazing.
I'm super biased, and I love the Spider-Man animated series. So the VHS 2-packs, like the Peter Parker, the Doc Ock,
Yeah.
even Ryan's favorite Mary Jane, or not Aunt May. His Aunt May. Yeah. So
On main representation matters, you know.
yeah,
so.
I love that show, and I bother him every time for more. So yeah, I'm very proud of it. I'm very proud how they turned out. Dwight. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Is that on pause for now? Just to interject, the animated stuff, VHS, is that taking a break for right now, or is that?
No,
No.
that is not.
Okay,
It is not.
Okay, it's not.
that's not, you have to make sure
I
they
always
calculate it.
I'm a little bit older than these gentlemen. There's a little bit more gray. It takes a little bit longer for things to process in my head, and then I have to remember what am I allowed to say, or what do I have to just stare blankly at you and just
Right, be like,
yeah.
yeah. I'm catching on.
What's your highlights
I'll
from
just
23?
quickly say I'm proud of the way the team is able to juggle everything going on. Marvel has over 80 years of comics, tons of movies, tons of Disney Plus shows. Dates for movies kind of move around these days, and yet we were able to kind of get out our MCU type stuff, from Guardians 3 to Ant-Man to a Disney Plus wave to the Marvels coming up to going back to Spider-Man No Way Home, while still doing a steady stream of comic stuff, from X-Men 60th to Avengers 60th to retro carded stuff. And so that's just something I always try to remind people, that it's striking that balance,
Yeah.
because everyone has slightly different fandoms as to what they gravitate more towards, whether it's comic, MCU, or other. So that's great. And then I in terms of things to continue to get better at, is just listening to the fans and make those items that they're like, oh, I gotta have that. Whether it's deluxe figures like we talked about, or different types of offerings,
Yeah.
or just kind of wish list characters, slowly checking off a couple new ones every year.
Yeah.
Cool. Awesome, guys. Thank you so much.
The checklist figures are getting harder and harder to come up with. Like we have our Jesse, myself, and our engineer, who must not be named, have our wish list of like the weirdest things that we want to see made into the next coming cycle.
Can you name one of those?
I'll give you a couple of things that are on my list. I'm looking for a Dr. Bong.
Okay.
I'm looking for Gossamer, and I want Outlaw. Outlaw. I like Outlaw, but I want Phantom Rider.
Okay.
I would like to get those.
I love horses. I don't know.
I love horse. I want a horse in the line. Do you guys want a horse in the line? If so, make these guys tell me that I have to make it. So that's on you now.
A fully articulated horse, I think people would want that. So.
Yeah.
Let's see how much it will be. And
I mean,
we'll see.
we got Phantom Rider. We got the Spider Horse. We got Aragorn.
I want a horse too.
We could do this. We could do the Centaur version of Slade. There's so many horsey things that we can do. I mean, come on.
So much horse content to
Yeah,
make.
Horsemen of the Apocalypse. I know they didn't all ride horses, but I mean,
Some
come
of them
on.
did.
Some of them did. Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll paint our horse gold, and it can be those weird space horses.
Ryan, you look indecisive about.
No, he's just like, he turns into like Bubba Gump, like listing all the shrimp. He's like, Outrider, Valkyrie, this one, that one. We're like, so yeah.
He's a horse aficionado. What are you gonna do? Thank you guys so much. Appreciate it.
Thank you.